all around Bitcoin Twitter, we're seeing tons of hype about the Bitcoin conference that is coming up in Nashville. We're seeing all kinds of publicity around Donald J. Trump, presidential hopeful. We're also seeing some rumors that Elon Musk is going to be possibly around there. But we're also seeing some contention, right? Donald J. Trump made some interesting comments about El Salvador and Nayib Bukele last week. Is this really all just a marketing stunt for the upcoming election? Welcome back, everyone. Hope you had a great weekend. I know I probably could have been talking about the Donald Trump stuff last week, but in all fairness, I wanted to wait. I wanted to wait until the dust settled, until we saw a little bit more of what to expect, and I think at this point it's really clear. This is a fantastic marketing opportunity for Donald Trump. And of course, you know, as of what was it? I think it was last week on Wednesday, Donald Trump announced, or somebody from his team announced, that his 4th NFT collection was apparently on the way. So, you know, for the people that think that, you know, Donald really cares about Bitcoin, just to put it in perspective, he cares about his image. He cares about his ability to raise funds for his presidential campaign. But I don't really think he actually cares about Bitcoin, right? But he does see the opportunity in a voter base that seems to be getting wealthier. And I think that that's really part of the major reason why he is even paying attention to Bitcoiners. Now, I also know that David Bailey, who is the CEO of Bitcoin Magazine, he did make a sizable donation to the Trump campaign. That may or may not play a role in him going to this conference. No, I'm kidding. I'm pretty sure that that's the main reason he's going to the conference. It's because he was paid. For the people who don't think that Donald Trump coming to the Bitcoin conference is just a massive marketing stint for him, right? Like he doesn't care about any of this stuff. Okay, I know that that's tough for people to hear. I understand that he says the magic words. There's many people that say the magic words. Many people are going to say what they have to say in order to gain your trust, or in order for you to perceive them as somehow altruistic or virtuous or looking out for your best interests. This is nothing but a blind spot in our own minds, right? That we create ourselves in order to validate ideas for ourselves. But I just want to remind everyone, you know, he's coming to this conference, and he's charging approximately 1 full Bitcoin for a picture with him. And if a couple wants to take a picture with him, they're going to spend about $100,000 to take a picture with Donald Trump. I mean, if this is not a giant marketing stint, I don't really know what is. The last piece of evidence that I want to show in terms of how this is all just a giant marketing stint, okay, is the comments that Donald Trump made about El Salvador and Nayib Bukele. All right, so Pledator put out this tweet here. Trump doubling down on his Nayib Bukele criticism shows that he did not misspeak at the RNC speech. Okay. So we have this narrative that he is, quote unquote, attacking El Salvador, right, for essentially becoming safer and a better place to live by sending people who would be considered, and again, it's just the term that I'm using, undesirable, right, or criminals or whatnot, and that essentially that El Salvador, through some type of a backhanded way, has shipped these people over here in order to make their country look better. But that's not, I don't believe that that's the entire story. And I'm going to show a different perspective that can, again, shine the light on the fact that we are all just watching a show. But before we do, let's take a quick listen to this clip.
So El Salvador is an interesting one because I know the president. He's a young guy. And he's been getting this great press that his crime rate's way down, and they're training their criminals. Well, you don't train criminals, okay? You know, maybe every once in a while you get lucky, but you don't. So in El Salvador, murders are down 70%. He's saying, yes, we're teaching. He's different. Most of them just say, well, the United States is stupid, so we're dumping all our criminals there. He does it differently, smart. He goes, we're working with our people that are causing problems and crime. And he's not working with them. He's dumping them in the United States. And their crime rate, their murder rate is down 72%, 73%.
Okay, so that shots fired, right? Shots fired. I mean, that wasn't the first set of shots, but this is the second set of shots. And it was funny because in the first set of shots, which was last week during his during the RNC debate, during the RNC conference, he kind of skirted around El Salvador, right? He skirted around it and then mentioned it. So you really had to pay attention to what he was saying. But this is clear. Okay, this is clear. He is taking a direct shot at Nayib Bukele and El Salvador. Now, for the people who watch this show who are used to me and my rhetoric, you know that I am not a simp for El Salvador. I don't give a shit about the statist, the statist support of Bitcoin or anything like that, because if you ask me, the state is part of the problem. And of course, the state is part of the problem because they have infinite money printing, and that means that they can fund a whole bunch of their organizations and endeavors, which are not necessarily what's best for a country or for its people. But of course, that'll be that's a whole debate all on its own. This particular account, I think, does a really good job of expressing how this whole entire thing is just a made-up show. Okay, so here we go. Shout out to you, bitcoinmarketcap.org. Small account, right? Small account. I love some of these. And here we go. Do you all really think Donald Trump, the man who created one of the most popular TV shows of all time, doesn't know what he's doing when he's making things up about El Salvador? So, I mean, you can obviously see here, right, that this particular account is taking the perspective of that he's making things up about El Salvador. But is it at all possible that both Nayib Bukele and Donald Trump are kind of, working this together for massive attention? I mean, we don't know, right? We don't really know. Anyways, so here, let's continue on with his argument, because I think he makes some very good points. So for God's sakes, Donald Trump Jr. was in El Salvador for Bukele's inauguration in early June. Number two, Jr. later tweeted, honored to be at Nayib Bukele's inauguration to support a leader willing to fight the globalist for the benefit of his people. We need more like him in El Salvador, has a bright future with him at the helm. Number three, and this is where it gets very interesting about the Bitcoin conference. With the Bitcoin conference being less than a week away, if you want to maximize coverage for that, this is how you do it. Create a controversy where there was none before. If we're lucky, we get the major news networks to cover it. And I gotta say, in my eyes, I think that is a very, I think that is a realistic take based on the type of world that we live in. Because if you think about it, I've never really heard Donald Trump talk about El Salvador, right? But now we know he's going to be a speaker at the Bitcoin conference, and all of a sudden he mentions Nayib Bukele twice, right? In major speeches, okay? And he's kind of creating the framing, right, that El Salvador is an enemy. Now, what's also interesting, right, is that we all remember when El Salvador announced that they were going to make Bitcoin legal tender, that the IMF got very upset, okay? And the IMF started to put out, of course, tailored articles about essentially how it facilitates crime and, essentially how it subverts the world monetary policy and the world's monetary system. Or we'll say the global monetary system. So again, right, trying to frame essentially El Salvador as like this dark horse outlier, that is trying to step outside of the system. Now, look, I'm not going to pretend that Nayib Bukele has altruistic ends, for why he endorsed Bitcoin or anything like that. Because to me, a state is the state. I don't really care whether somebody is simping for some country that made Bitcoin legal tender, whether they're simping for some country that hates Bitcoin. The state is the state. Okay, they're never The government machine does not actually look out for its constituents. The government's machine's job is to keep itself alive and to continue to fund itself. Okay, that's all there is to it. So the whole bullishness, right? The whole bullishness around the Bitcoin conference. I appreciate that Trump is going to speak there. I appreciate all the eyeballs that are coming onto this onto this particular event. I appreciate the drama that is being created here between Donald Trump and Nayib Bukele. Nayib is definitely taking, I think, the gentleman's stance. He hasn't responded back to Don, but I think it's going to be funny when he does. But look, the reality is this, okay? We can be happy about these developments. We can be pleased with the amount of attention that Bitcoin is getting. But I do think that we should be very careful in simping for statists. Anyways, for the people that are going to the conference, have a great time. That's what I wanted to talk about today. And I'm going to catch you guys tomorrow.